This is Chicago. At the dawn of the 21st century, Chicago's media was dominated by a handful of major corporations. But a resistance movement arose to free Chicago's media from their clutches. One player in this movement is the Chicago Independent Media Center and its TV show, Chicago Independent Television. The Independent Media Center is a worldwide network of grassroots correspondents committed to using the tools of the media for promoting social and economic justice. You are watching this month's dispatch from the Chicago Independent Media Center.
Welcome to Chicago Independent Television, a collection of progressive video reports by reporters from Chicago and beyond, produced free from corporate or commercial support or influence. I'm Mitchell Szczepanczyk. On this episode, we'll continue our coverage of Chicago's recent anti-war protests and revisit what happened after the Big March. We'll also witness a memorial for a local anti-war martyr. We'll show what happened when the Holy Name Six staged a dramatic protest in a local church. And we'll review a government proposal involving the United States and Mexico. Stay with us.
What would you do with $3 trillion? The $3 trillion shopping spree is your chance to find out. Want to reign over your own island nation? Go right ahead. Or maybe fund research that will cure a deadly disease. It's up to you. You can even wage an endless war that will cripple America's economy. With the $3 trillion shopping spree, anything's possible. Bill in Los Angeles bought 100,000 luxury yachts, 20,000 sprawling estates, and 650,000 private islands. Mary in Michigan gave health care to all Americans and still had $2.8 trillion left over. George B. in Washington started an illegal war that resulted in 151,000 dead Iraqi civilians. Gary in Indiana bought 1.5 billion pounds of beluga caviar. Debbie in New York bought 500 schools in her home state and still had $2,987 billion left for school supplies. Donald R. in Arlington, Virginia destabilized an entire region and displaced 4 million innocent people. What will you do with $3 trillion? Go to www.3trillion.org and spend. Psst, do something.
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. We now examine the case of the Holy Name Six, involving a group of peace activists and the action they staged at Chicago's Holy Name Cathedral. On Easter Sunday, 2008, 6 members of an activist group staged a dramatic action in Chicago's Holy Name Cathedral during Easter Sunday Mass. The focus of the action was Chicago Cardinal Francis George, Archbishop of Chicago. Cardinal George and Chicago Mayor Daley both had lunch with George W. Bush during a presidential visit to Chicago in January 2008. Even though the church had taken anti-war stances elsewhere, Cardinal George had refused to critique Bush publicly for the war in Iraq. And so, during the Easter Mass homily, before a full church and with live TV coverage, Cardinal George himself faced public critique.
That love is blind. Someone might look at a friend's fiancé.
The commandment says, "Thou shalt not kill."
And yet, more than 1 million Iraqis have been killed during the current U.S. invasion of Iraq. On January 7th, Cardinal George met at lunch with George W. Bush. Peace! Stop the war! Even the Pope calls for peace.
Even the Pope calls for peace.
Even the Pope calls for peace. Even the Pope calls for peace.
They ain't going anywhere.
And so should we all call for peace.
The 6 demonstrators, who called themselves Catholic Schoolgirls Against the War, had fallen down in an aisle of Holy Name Cathedral and spilled themselves with stage blood. Coverage in the Chicago corporate media would follow, particularly of the criminal charges and onerous bail fees brought against these Holy Name 6, as they would become known. They faced charges of 1 count of felony criminal damage to property and 2 counts of battery. What followed got hardly any coverage. Chicago police denied medication to 1 hypoglycemic arrestee, and police also reportedly threatened those who called into the police to support the protesters, who themselves could face Homeland Security investigations for terrorism. Reports had also surfaced of police abuse against the Holy Name 6. The 6 were released after 2 days in custody, and since staging their action have faced widespread discussion and criticism, including some from anti-war activists who called the action reprehensible. Kevin Clark, a supporter of the 6, was quoted on the day of the action as follows: "On a day when we're celebrating the resurrection of the Prince of Peace, a man whose ministry was deeply tied to comfort and relief for the most oppressed among us, it's critical that we remind ourselves and others everywhere of the need to reject business as usual and demand peace in Iraq from our own government and its supporters. The fact is that many in attendance today at Holy Name Cathedral are among the city's most powerful people, and it's incumbent on them to endure a little discomfort to be reminded that unless they're working tirelessly to end this war immediately, then their presence in this church on Easter Sunday is an act of hypocrisy." Those who speak truth to power often do so at great personal sacrifice, as the Holy Name 6 face trial and possible criminal charges. But the history of the Catholic Church is marked by examples of those who challenge the Church itself, courageously taking a stand. Could we have seen the Holy Name 6 write another chapter in this history?
You're watching Chicago Independent Television.
I see the soul of a nation. Must be true 'cause I've seen it on TV.
About a year ago, Mark and I thought, air pollution, global warming. How can we make a difference? So Mark modified our car, some sort of homemade energy source.
The best part is the car emits only helium.
Genius.
But the EPA says the energy we use in our home can cause twice the greenhouse gases of a car. So now I look for products that are in the Energy Star. Simple.
The EPA invites you to go to EnergyStar.gov to discover what you can do to reduce air pollution.